Hi everybody, my name is Bridget and I want to teach you a few things that I personally do when I voice train to make it more tolerable and just make me a little bit more comfortable in doing it. Now, a lot of people have varying degrees of how much they enjoy voice training, whether they absolutely hate it like me, or maybe they find it like relaxing or have fun with it, right? But a lot of people find voice training to be a very, very difficult part of transitioning. It's a very big mental hurdle to get past, and it is just a lot of repetition over and over. And although I wish I could help teach how I was going from this voice that sounds like this to my current voice, I don't think I'm professionally trained enough to teach that sort of area. But I have found a lot of ways to just make voice training more tolerable and a lot more enjoyable just when doing it. So that's what I want to tell you about today. So the first thing that I'm wanting to talk to you about today is using tea for voice training. Now, you could also just do hot water if you're a maniac and you have no moral compass. But what I find to be a nice little way to relax while voice training and have like a little treat with myself is when I am doing my voice training things for the day, I'll get myself like a warm cup of tea or sometimes like even really hot cup of tea. And I will have that and maybe like a little like biscuit to go with it or like a little cookie or something like that. I found this like little pistachio chocolate cookie. It's so good. But anyway, I get some tea to go along with it. And I love tea because tea is so cheap for how much you get out of it. And it just tastes so good. And it's just a little way to look forward to voice training. Like, oh, it kind of sucks I have to do this. But at least when I do it, I get to have this little moment where I sit down and just really get to enjoy the experience. And I wanted to start with tea because that can add on to a lot of future things I intend to talk about in this video, such as reading, which let's get into. So even though the voice training like productivity is going to be a lot less fruitful from doing something like reading as opposed to doing more active practice like glissandos or breath exercises, reading is a really good way to get more accustomed to your voice trained voice as opposed to your resting one, right? You're just saying a lot more things when you're doing this, right? And it's a lot more tolerable to do because, especially if you get super interested in a book, like this is the Nightingale that I'm reading right now, I am absolutely loving it. You can just pass by like 30 minutes to an hour just reading away and not even really noticing the time going by that quick. And in the process, even if it might not be as productive for voice training, it's still getting you a lot of extra time voice training and getting you a lot more used to using your voice. And as a result, you're also getting to just learn about something really cool that you like. So reading is definitely a massive thing I would recommend. For the next thing I want to talk about, it's a lot less complicated than the other two. It's really just finding a place you feel comfortable to voice train in, whether that might be like a bedroom, like here. I often will go to like my bed to do it, for example. Or maybe there's another more secluded room in the house where you're not as easily heard. Maybe there is a nice place where you can just go in nature to do it. Just finding any place that you feel more comfortable to use your full voice and not have to hold anything back is going to make voice training go by a lot more quickly. And that can also apply to online environments as well, such as maybe going to like a trans person's Discord or like Seattle Voice Labs, right? And you can go practice in those voice chats where everybody else is trying to get their bearings and try practicing your voice too. And everybody knows that struggle, so they're not going to make fun of you or think anything of you for trying to get your voice trained. Having a more comforting environment can help make that bridge that will help you transition into using your voice in unfamiliar environments, like maybe going out to get groceries or at your job or whatever, really. Having a comforting environment can seriously do a ton for you. Now, next is something that people at the very start of their voice transition and people at the very end feel like they are making absolutely no progress with. And that is progress. When you live in your body and see it going through these changes every single day, whether it's just waiting for HRT to do its thing, or if you are voice training, training every day, you might feel like 2 months has gone by and you've made absolutely zero progress. But that's why it's super important to record stuff. What may sound like absolutely zero change to you if you have it recorded and you record fairly actively, I'd say at least do it like 3 times a week. And it can even just be like a 30-second segment too. It doesn't need to be long. You can really see the massive changes that you've been making in progress and be like, wow, this is doing something. And that will really, really help out with your motivation to continue voice training and also just make you feel better. Let me show you an example. So the recording I'm about to show you right now was me reading off some like Wikipedia thing, I believe at least. And this is less than 3 months ago. And whether you like the voice more or not is not really important. The important thing is I've been tuning the voice to be what I like. But regardless of how you feel about it, you can tell that there's been a very big difference in the sound. In 3 years, she started a massively successful daytime talk show empire, winning countless awards for her illustrious career in activism. She received the Mark Twain Prize which is pretty big, right? But if you asked me if I feel like I've progressed since then, I would not have thought so if I hadn't listened to this. Now, I am insecure, so I listen to these things constantly, but that's aside from the point. On the note of practicing, this is a more short point, but there's a lot of opportunities that you just have downtime in between day-to-day life, and that is incredible opportunities to practice. For the most part, since I'm fairly far into my voice journey, and also just super busy with school, I don't find a lot of time to just sit down and practice anymore, as I hardly have free time like whatsoever. But on my way to college or on my way to work, you know, a 30 or 20-minute trip respectively, I'll just find ways to voice train in that little time. So maybe for like 10 or 15 minutes of that ride, I'll just be doing my warm-up voice activities, and I'll get my voice more ready for the day, and also be getting my practice in at the same time. And it can just make a very boring, you know, whatever time where you feel like you're doing nothing, you can feel like you're getting some progress in and not have to train as much later, or depending on how far in you are, just you don't need to train later, period. Final thing I'm wanting to talk about is having what I call a accountabilibuddy. And that's really just finding another person who, it doesn't even need to be for voice training, it can be for literally anything, but just something, a long-term goal for both of you, where you can both message each other daily and be like, hey, how's the progress on that, buddy? You know, you're gonna have days where you really, really don't want to voice train. That might be every day. I get that. So by having a person who is going to constantly be messaging you every day saying, hey, are you doing this? Are you staying on top of this? Are you making progress? It helps a lot with having a person to actually hold you accountable, because you feel like you need to do it. Or, you know, like, that's messed up. Like, how could you do this to your friend? And vice versa, you can just be like, hey, how's that drum practice going? Or how is your voice practice going? Or whatever that you're telling them to do. And likewise, that holds them accountable. It's really super easy. It takes like a minute to send a message each day and just reply and give a little thing of how things are going and if you actually did your practice today. You'd be surprised how much having a person to hold you accountable can really help out some people. So that is everything I wanted to talk about today. I really, really appreciate y'all watching until the end if you did make it here. If you liked the video, a like would very much be appreciated, but no pressure. I don't mind. I do this as a hobby purely and do not really care too much. I just like seeing the number go up, and especially comments. I see that shit. Someone's like, thanks for the video. And I'm like, I love you. I love you. Thank you. But anyway, yeah, that's all I had to say today. I hope you guys enjoy and have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your afternoon, night, whatever time zone you're in. Have a good one.